The Great War is here.
Why it's so interesting that Melisandre mentions ice and fire on this week's Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones just introduced two fan-favorite characters, Jon Snow and Daenerys Targaryen, giving heat to a theory we had previously had, especially since Melisandre says that she brought together ice and fire. To understand why this is so significant to the very core of this story, we have to talk about the theory. It's about the end of the show and, essentially, who ultimately wins in the titular Game of Thrones, so if you don't want to know, turn back now. The theory, A Song of Ice and Fire, gives the ending away. The title Game of Thrones is the name of the TV series but not George R.R. Martin's book series. The first book is called Game of Thrones, but the whole book series, comprising the already published 5 books, and the 2 still to come, is called A Song of Ice and Fire. A lovely name, to be sure, but what if it's more than that? What if ice and fire signify certain people? What if this epic song is about how 2 characters symbolized by ice and fire come together in the end? The obvious characters are: Jon Snow equals ice. Daenerys Targaryen equals fire. There has been tons of fire imagery associated with Daenerys on the show, including her own rebirth in the first season in a funeral pyre for Khal Drogo, her dragons breathing fire, and of course, that badass walk through fire in Vstothrak. Also, the Targaryen words are fire and blood. Therefore, A Song of Ice and Fire equals A Song of Jon Snow and Daenerys Targaryen. A stretch? Could be, but consider the 2 characters who fans have an undying love for and who both seem destined for something more. There's also the fact that Jon's resurrection is not just a major indication of his destiny, but also a distinct parallel to Daenerys' similar immunity to certain death in the same season. Thus, we could be watching the story of how the 7 kingdoms are destined for 2 rulers, not just one, and the Iron Throne will be cozily shared by Jon and Daenerys. Also, since Jon is a Targaryen, you might be pointing out that makes him and Daenerys related. Technically, should be his aunt, but marrying within the family has always been a Targaryen custom. And though I suppose other characters could fulfill the ice and fire symbols, it's almost too obvious. And finally, in Season 7, Melisandre is the catalyst who brings Jon and Daenerys together, and she calls them ice and fire, having already said both have a large role to play in Westeros' destiny. It's undeniable, the end has to be all about these 2.